His parents are very disturbed by all of that, and they're like, Mene, you gotta go to the hospital, because this ain't right. Living on a busy street, bum. Obviously they're looking to see what's wrong with him. They enroll him in an outpatient program. It's around this time that Mene is realizing that the freckles that he was seeing on Casper's face have actually gotten larger, and they're actually starting to form a scar. He's starting to notice they're developing on classmates, on teachers, people that he sees every day, and it's worrying him, and he's finally realizing that he is the one that's causing those freckles and scars to appear. Now, he's not sure what actually will happen as those freckles and scars grow larger, but he has a feeling it's not a good thing. So he starts to kind of freak out, and he notices after a while, the more he's using his ability, the more he's satisfying those deep urges to use his power, the more he's seen freckles and scars appear, and the faster they're starting to appear on other people. At the same time, he's also thinking that he's kind of living his worst nightmare. He has become, in his mind, nothing but a burden to his family, both emotionally and financially, and he can't even take care of his brother. That's been like his whole life's purpose up until this point, and now Casper doesn't really want anything to do with him anymore. And he gets to the idea that the best thing to do would be to just leave. And he knows, I mean, he's not an idiot. He knows that his parents will be sad if he leaves, and he knows that there will be a time that they're not happy, but there's also a part of him that still feels like there's some resentment that he was born. Even though I think of Mene as one of my more mature characters when it comes to things like common sense, and like logically this makes sense, in a lot of ways he's very emotionally immature, and at this time he's a teenager, so that doesn't help at all. So in his mind, he thinks that by leaving he's actually going to be helping everybody, and that's the best solution to the issue. So he tries to be smart about it. He's not like Casper, who just like wanders off one day. He, you know, takes some jewelry to pawn and like plots course, and he does leave, and people obviously they do look for him, but there's kind of among his peers, there's kind of this idea that, okay, Mene was like, it's sad that he's missing, but he was not mentally well, and he was not dangerous, but he probably just wandered off somewhere. Like, he was responsible and he's not naive, so he probably didn't just get into somebody's car. Like, there was not an idea that maybe he was kidnapped. The idea was always that he wandered off, not on purpose. Obviously his family is sad, traumatic for the family. Eventually there was the idea that, you know, he wandered off somewhere and accidentally, you know, drowned. Fallbank is by a lake, so maybe fell off the bluff, drowned, something like that. And Mene is on the road, I guess, for several years. Constantly moving. I mean, when he's in a surge, he has a good defense mechanism of just being able to grab somebody's wrist if someone like tried to rob him or stab him or something, and all of a sudden they can see creepy ghost things and hear creepy ghost noises, and they'll probably start crying and pee their pants. And sometimes I think he just does that if he feels a little bit threatened, and sometimes just maybe because he really needed to satisfy the urge to use that ability. Throughout the whole process, starts feeling really horrible about himself. He feels like he regrets his decision, but also feels like there's no way for him to go back without making it worse. He misses his family, but he also feels like he's keeping them safe. He can kind of mollify himself by thinking like, okay, but my parents like didn't really want kids when they had kids, and now they just have one, and it's less of a burden on them, and that makes it all worthwhile. But eventually that stops feeling true to him, and he decides to do something really horrible and dumb to himself. So he goes and looks for a place where he can be alone to do this really stupid, horrible thing. In the process of that, he is approached by something. So this something approaches him and they have a chat, and it decides to offer him a deal and basically says, prolong your life, develop your power, this will please me. But here's something important to remember about this thing before we continue this video. The supernatural can affect, but does not exist within or follow the rules of the natural world. So it's possible that this was some kind of benevolent spirit, and equally possible that by its own design it desired to do harm. Mene has no way of knowing which it is, or if it is either of those things, and has no way of ever knowing, and no way of ever making sure that his guess, either one or neither, is correct. Regardless, he makes a deal with this thing. He decides, yes, I am going to do that. He doesn't feel good about his decision all the time because of the way he made his decision, because he doesn't really know at the end of the day if his abilities are really good or bad. You know, he wanted to avoid hurting other people, and the longer he hangs around, the bigger people's freckles and scars get, and he doesn't want to end up hurting anybody. And this is kind of the central point of his internal stress, like, is his ability good or bad? Is he good or bad? Is life good or bad? See, this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying he's not the most emotionally mature person. It's very obvious in his wardrobe and the way that I ended up styling this character that he sees the world as black or white. To him, things are only good or bad, so he must be good or bad. Life must be good or bad. He's, you know, a teenager, but even as he gets older, he still struggles with this kind of very emotionally immature way of seeing the world. So he sees, I think a part of him sees, at least in the moment, that this thing is offering him a chance for redemption, because in his heart of hearts, he believes that he is bad. So after a certain period of recovery, he finds that he has two new things going on with his life. The first, he has his clock face eye, which is not in his sculpt right now. And the clock face eye, you need to think of the clock not as a measurement of time, but just as a measurement, because we're talking a lot about the measurement of a person's deeds, what makes a person good or bad. So that's where the clock face eye comes in. That's like the symbolism of the clock face eye. But it also has a different purpose, which is that if you have been affected by the supernatural to a certain extent, you are able to see the clock face eye, and if you haven't been, you will just see his normal eyes. So it's a good way for Mene to be able to be like, oh my gosh, let me put my hair behind my ear, and if someone was like, oh my god, what happened to your eyeball? That's super creepy, what the hell, go away. He can be like, let's have a chat. Later in life, not immediately. And his other thing that only happened after making the deal with this creeping thing is that he now has this ability that I'm not exactly sure how it's going to work yet. If it's a thing that he feels, a thing that he sees, blah 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 blah. An ability that allows him to easily find people who have freckles and scars, that he will begin to understand possibly what that means later on. Anyway, I feel like I've been talking for a very long time. My throat actually hurts right now. So I am going to break it off there, and thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you are enjoying Mene's character videos so far. I know there's a lot of like magic-y, supernaturally stuff to go over. I'm trying to like write some things down so I can maybe put them on the website so I don't have to constantly be talking, because oh my gosh, really, my throat hurts right now. Does it sound like it hurts? So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to all of you soon. Bye!